Betrayal never comes from your enemies. It comes from the people you called friend. The ones who smiled with you, laughed with you, broke bread with you. The ones you trusted so deeply you never thought to guard your back, because you assumed they were standing beside you, not aiming a knife at your spine. And that's why it cuts so much deeper. Because when a stranger hurts you, it's expected. But when a friend turns, it shatters something inside you, the belief that loyalty is real, that love is safe, that trust is sacred. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal, you know it doesn't just break your heart, it rewires it. You start replaying every memory with them, wondering if every laugh, every hug, every late-night conversation was just a mask, a performance to hide the envy growing in the shadows. And here's the harsh truth most people don't want to admit. Some of your friends were never your friends at all. They were snakes, lying in the grass, waiting for the right moment to strike. They cheered for you when you were beneath them. They smiled at your victories when those victories didn't threaten theirs. But the moment you started to rise, the moment your light began to shine a little too brightly, their mask slipped. Suddenly, the one who called you brother, sister, ride or die, turned cold. Their words shifted. Their jokes cut deeper. Their support became silence. Not because you wronged them. Not because you changed. But because your very existence reminded them of what they weren't. Envy. That's the poison that transforms friends into snakes. And the cruelest part? They don't strike when you're armored. They don't attack when you're ready. No, they wait until you're most vulnerable, when you've opened your heart, when you've shared your secrets, when you've trusted them with pieces of your soul. That's when they sink their fangs in. You never saw it coming. But you'll never forget it happened. This is the video of friendship turned venom. Of betrayal that scars deeper than hatred. Of masks ripped away to reveal the serpent beneath. But this is not just about pain. This is about awakening. Because once you see the snake for what it is, you can never be deceived the same way again. The nature of false friendship. At first glance, false friendship looks exactly like real friendship. That's why it's so dangerous. The hugs are the same. The laughter is the same. The memories are the same. The difference isn't in the surface, it's in the roots. Real friendship is rooted in love, loyalty, and mutual growth. False friendship is rooted in envy, insecurity, and convenience. But here's the problem, you can't see roots until time or storms reveal them. Why fake friends exist? To understand false friendship, you must first understand human nature. People don't always love you for who you are, they love you for who you are to them. Some love you because you make them feel needed. Some love you because you make them feel superior. Some love you because you are their comfort zone. But what happens when you grow? When you change? When you begin to rise in ways that shift the balance? Suddenly, the friend who loved you for your weakness resents your strength. The friend who loved you for your failures resents your success. The friend who loved you for your dependence resents your independence. And this is where false friendship shows its face. Because what they loved was never you. It was the role you played in their life. Envy disguised as loyalty. Envy is the silent disease that destroys friendships. A true friend will celebrate your wins as if they were their own. A snake will smile on the surface but bleed on the inside every time you shine. You can often sense it in subtle ways. They go silent when you share good news. They change the subject when the spotlight is on you. They minimize your achievements with, "It's not that big of a deal," or, "You just got lucky." They laugh when you fall but rarely help you stand back up. Envy doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hugs you with one arm while hiding the knife in the other. And here's the cruelest irony, many snakes don't even realize how toxic they are. Their envy consumes them so quietly that even they think they're being good friends. But inside, your light is a mirror to their darkness. Your success is a reminder of their stagnation. And so, slowly, they begin to resent the very person they once swore loyalty to. Convenience versus commitment. A real friend is there for you in both rain and sunshine. A false friend is only there when it benefits them. They show up when you're down because it makes them feel superior. They disappear when you're rising because it makes them feel small. They're loyal when it's easy but vanish when it costs them something. Friendship built on convenience always collapses under pressure. And betrayal is often just the final chapter of a friendship that was fake from the beginning. The mask of false love. Snakes don't reveal themselves all at once. They wear masks. They learn your language, your humor, your weaknesses. They present themselves as mirrors of your soul because that's how they earn your trust. But masks slip. They always do. You'll catch it in a smirk that doesn't match the words. In a question that feels more like an interrogation. In a celebration that feels hollow. The truth is, betrayal doesn't start on the day they stab you. Betrayal starts the moment they decide that your light is a threat instead of an inspiration. And that decision is almost always made in silence, long before you ever see the strike. Why betrayal hurts more than hate. Enemies are easy to deal with, they declare themselves. But false friends are dangerous because they infiltrate your heart. It's not the knife that hurts most. It's the hand that held it. It's the memories attached to it. It's the fact that you never saw it coming. False friendship teaches you a painful lesson, that not everyone who sits at your table is there to share a meal. Some are there to steal your bread, poison your drink, or whisper lies into your ear while smiling at your face. But here's the paradox, as much as false friendship wounds, it also teaches. Once you've been bitten, you develop a sharper instinct. You begin to notice the cracks earlier, the silence louder, the smiles faker. You learn that trust should be earned, not given freely. You learn that loyalty is proven, not promised. You learn that not everyone who calls you friend deserves the title. Red flags of a snake in disguise. A snake never announces itself with a hiss. It slithers silently, hiding beneath the grass of friendship until the strike is inevitable. That's why most betrayals feel like ambushes. You didn't see it coming, because you weren't looking for the signs. But the truth is, the signs are always there. Small, subtle, almost invisible, until you look back in hindsight and realize they were screaming at you all along. Here are the red flags that reveal a friend who is really a snake in disguise. 1. The silent celebration. A true friend's joy is loud when you win. They clap for you like your victory is theirs. But a snake. They grow quiet. Their smile looks stretched, their congratulations feels hollow. They're present, but their energy is heavy. They don't share your good news with others. They downplay your success with words like, lucky, not a big deal, or anyone could have done it. Their eyes don't light up when you shine. This silence isn't harmless, it's the sound of envy choking them. 2. Jokes that cut too deep. Pay attention to their humor. A true friend teases, but never in a way that cuts at your core. A snake will disguise insults as jokes, hoping you'll laugh while the blade slides deeper. They laugh at your weaknesses in public. They point out your flaws repeatedly, masking it as, just kidding. They mock your dreams subtly, planting seeds of doubt in your mind. Remember, the mouth speaks what the heart hides. Their jokes reveal what their loyalty conceals. 3. The disappearing act. When you're low, a snake may suddenly vanish, not because they're busy, but because your struggle doesn't benefit them. And when you rise, they vanish again, this time because your success threatens their ego. A snake is consistent in one thing, inconsistency. They show up when it's convenient. They disappear when it costs them effort. They're always present for gossip, but rarely present for growth. 4. The shifting energy. Energy doesn't lie. When a friend's spirit turns from warmth to coldness, from light to shade, you feel it. Conversations become shorter. Texts become slower. Support turns into subtle competition. You sense tension when you share your achievements. Their compliments feel like obligations instead of genuine joy. They stop asking about your progress because they don't want to hear good news. 5. The gossip shadow. Watch how your friend talks about others, because that's how they'll talk about you when you leave the room. If they constantly bring you gossip, they're carrying your gossip elsewhere. If they twist stories about others, they're twisting yours too. If their loyalty shifts with the wind, you're just another branch they'll snap when it suits them. Snakes thrive in shadows, whispering poison into ears. 6. The competitive spirit. Friendship is not a competition, it's collaboration. But to a snake, your win is their loss. They compare, they measure, they secretly root for your failure because it validates their stagnation. They try to one-up your stories. They buy things or pursue goals not because they want them, but because you have them. They frame their life in terms of beating you, not growing with you. A snake doesn't see a teammate. They see a rival disguised as a friend. 7. The discomfort with your growth. The truest test of friendship is how someone reacts when you evolve. When you break patterns. When you outgrow the old version of yourself. Do they cheer your transformation, or do they pull you back into who you used to be? Do they encourage your discipline, or mock it as boring? Do they adapt to the new you, or cling desperately to the old one because it made them feel superior? A snake can love the old you, the one that was beneath them. But the moment you grow beyond their comfort zone, their mask begins to slip. 8. The subtle sabotage. This is the deadliest red flag, because it's the most silent. Snakes don't always betray you with grand betrayals, they poison your life drop by drop. They discourage you from taking opportunities. They plant doubts in your mind before big decisions. They forget to support you when you need them most. Their goal isn't always to destroy you outright. Sometimes, it's to slow your momentum so you never rise higher than them. 9. The gut feeling you ignore. Perhaps the most important red flag is the one inside you, that whisper, that heaviness, that strange tension you can't explain. Your intuition notices what your heart refuses to admit. You felt it before. A strange unease after spending time with them. A hesitation to share your good news. A voice inside you saying, they don't really want the best for you. And yet, you silence it. You call it paranoia. You convince yourself you're overthinking. Until the day the betrayal happens, and you realize your gut was never wrong. Why we ignore the red flags? Because we don't want to believe them. Because admitting the signs means admitting the friendship was never real. Because hope is louder than suspicion, until pain forces us to listen. But the reality is, snakes always reveal themselves, eventually. The only question is whether you'll see the red flags in time, or whether you'll only see them when the knife is already in your back. Personal stories and archetypes of betrayal. Betrayal is not new. It has been echoing through human history for thousands of years. Every culture, every religion, every empire has its own story of the trusted one who turned into the snake. We remember these stories because they reveal something eternal. Betrayal is the shadow that always follows trust. Brutus and Julius Caesar, the famous knife in the back. Perhaps the most infamous betrayal in history happened on the Ides of March, 44 BC. Julius Caesar, the ruler of Rome, had built an empire, conquered enemies, and outsmarted rivals. He feared little, except betrayal from within. And betrayal came not from his enemies, but from the men closest to him. Chief among them was Brutus, a man Caesar loved like a son. When the Senate rose against Caesar, daggers flashed. Wounds pierced his body. But it wasn't until Caesar turned and saw Brutus with a blade that the death blow landed, not in flesh, but in spirit. His last words, immortalized as "Et Brute. You too, Brutus," carried the essence of betrayal, the shock that it comes from the one you least expect. Caesar didn't die from the stabs alone, he died from the heartbreak of seeing loyalty shattered. This story endures because it mirrors our own wounds. When a friend turns against us, it doesn't matter if it's ancient Rome or modern life, the pain is the same. Judas and Jesus, the kiss of betrayal. The Bible gives us another timeless betrayal. Judas Iscariot wasn't just one of Jesus's followers, he was one of the chosen 12. He broke bread with him, traveled with him, prayed with him. And yet, when greed and darkness whispered louder than loyalty, Judas sold his friend for 30 pieces of silver. He didn't just betray Jesus with words or actions, he sealed it with a kiss, a gesture that should have symbolized love, but instead marked the ultimate deception. The kiss of Judas remains one of the most chilling symbols in history because it captures the essence of betrayal. It looks like love, it feels like closeness, but it hides the venom of destruction. Samson and Delilah, betrayed by love. Betrayal isn't always between friends, it can also come through intimacy. In the biblical tale of Samson, his unmatched strength came from his uncut hair. Delilah, the woman he loved, was bribed to uncover the secret. She pressed him, coaxed him, and when he finally revealed his truth, she cut his hair while he slept. The man who once defeated armies was left powerless, not because of his enemies, but because of the trust he placed in the wrong hands. This story reveals another form of betrayal, the danger of placing your deepest secrets in the care of someone who doesn't truly protect them. Modern archetypes, everyday Brutus and Judas. History and scripture give us dramatic tales, but betrayal isn't confined to legends. It lives in everyday life, in subtle ways. The best friend who sleeps with your partner. The colleague who smiles at your face but steals your idea in the meeting. The confidant who leaks your secrets to others. The brother who celebrates your failure because it makes him feel better about his own. These aren't just stories, they're patterns. Humanity repeats the same betrayals in different clothing, over and over. Why these archetypes repeat? Because human nature hasn't changed. Envy is as old as the first brother who hated his sibling's gift. Greed is as old as the first coin exchanged for betrayal. Fear is as old as the first friend who chose survival over loyalty. What changes is not the betrayal itself, but how we respond to it. Caesar died broken. Judas died in guilt. Samson fell but rose again. Each story teaches us that betrayal wounds deeply, but it also forces transformation. The universal pattern of betrayal. If you strip these stories to their bones, betrayal always follows the same arc. Trust given. Someone earns access to your heart, your secrets, or your world. Mask worn. The betrayer plays the part of friend, lover, or ally. Poison planted. Envy, greed, or fear begins to grow inside them. The strike. At the moment of vulnerability, the mask drops and the wound is dealt. The awakening. The betrayed either falls into despair or rises with wisdom. This is why betrayal stories resonate so powerfully. We all walk this cycle at some point in life. Your personal Brutus. The question is not whether betrayal will ever touch your life, it will. The real question is, who will be your Brutus? It may not come with a dagger or a kiss, but it will come with words that wound, silence that speaks, or actions that shatter. And when it does, you'll find yourself in the company of every betrayed soul from history. But here's the truth, betrayal is not the end of the story. It is the unveiling, the test, the fire that forges sharper eyes and stronger hearts. Why betrayal hurts deeper than enemy attacks. An enemy can wound your body. But a friend can wound your soul. That's why betrayal lingers longer than any insult from a stranger. When an enemy strikes, it's expected. You brace yourself. You're ready. But when the knife comes from someone you loved, trusted, and let into your sacred circle, it bypasses your armor and goes straight into the heart. Betrayal hurts deeper than hate because of three things: trust, intimacy, and identity. 1. Trust turned into a weapon. Trust is the currency of all relationships. When you hand someone your trust, you're essentially saying, I believe you will protect what I've given you. But when that trust is broken, the pain doesn't stop at them, it boomerangs back at you. You don't just lose faith in them, you begin to lose faith in yourself. Why didn't I see it coming? Am I too gullible? Can I ever trust again? That's why betrayal feels like self-doubt wrapped in heartbreak. It makes you question your instincts, your judgment, your ability to read people. It doesn't just poison your relationship with the snake, it poisons your relationship with your own intuition. 2. Intimacy weaponized. Enemies attack from the outside. But a friend-turned-snake attacks from the inside. They know your weaknesses, your secrets, your insecurities. They know where the walls are low and the doors are open. An enemy might insult you, but a false friend uses your own secrets as weapons. An enemy might block you, but a false friend sabotages opportunities by whispering into ears that trust them. An enemy might hit your pride. But a false friend hits your heart, because they know exactly where it beats the softest. That's why betrayal feels so devastating. The attack isn't random, it's surgical. It's designed to cut where it will bleed the longest. 3. Identity shaken. When a friend betrays you, it doesn't just feel like a loss of them, it feels like a loss of you. Because friendships aren't just external, they're woven into your identity. Your memories, your routines, your sense of belonging. You see yourself partly through their eyes. And when they turn, it feels like a part of your story was a lie. That road trip you thought was unforgettable. Now tainted. That secret you thought was safe. Now weaponized. That laughter you thought was real. Now questioned. The betrayal of a friend makes you question your own narrative. Were they ever real? Or was it all a mask? That's why betrayal often feels worse than death. Death ends a friendship with finality. Betrayal kills it with mockery, making you replay the past with poisoned glasses. The long shadow of betrayal. The wound of betrayal doesn't close quickly. Even years later, people can vividly remember the moment they realized the truth, the look in their friend's eyes, the sound of their voice, the exact day the mask fell. Psychologists call betrayal trauma one of the deepest psychological wounds because it erodes fundamental safety. If someone you loved could turn on you, then anyone could. This creates hypervigilance. Suddenly you question every smile, every compliment, every hand extended in kindness. Betrayal creates two kinds of scars. Fear of others. You start guarding yourself more, building walls higher. Fear of yourself. You doubt your ability to choose safe people again. And yet, while betrayal is devastating, it can also be transforming. Because once you've seen the shadow side of friendship, you're no longer naive. You become sharper, wiser, more discerning. In other words, betrayal breaks you, but if you rise from it, it remakes you. The psychology of envy and hidden hate. Betrayal doesn't happen in a single moment. It brews. It grows. It simmers quietly in the shadows of the human heart until one day it spills over. And at the root of almost every betrayal, you will find one word: envy. The poison called envy. Envy is not admiration. Admiration inspires. Envy corrodes. Admiration says, you did it, so can I. Envy says, if I can't have it, you shouldn't either. A true friend celebrates your wins as if they were their own. A snake pretends to celebrate while secretly wishing you'd fall. They don't want your success to inspire them, they want it to stop. Why? Because envy forces them to confront their own reflection. Every time you rise, they are reminded of their own stagnation. Every time you win, they are reminded of what they haven't achieved. And instead of turning that energy inward to improve, they turn it outward to resent. Why friends turn into enemies? Enemies are clear. They oppose you openly. But a friend who turns into a snake is far more dangerous, because they once stood by your side. Why do they switch? Comparison. Humans are wired to measure themselves against others. When your life becomes a mirror showing them what they lack, they resent the reflection. Insecurity. A friend who hasn't built a strong identity sees your growth as a threat. Instead of cheering, they fear being left behind. Scarcity mindset. They believe your success means less is left for them. In their mind, life is a competition where your victory is their loss. Hidden rivalry. Some people never saw you as a friend, they saw you as silent competition from the beginning. They stayed close not to love you, but to measure themselves against you. The mask of loyalty. The scariest thing about envy is that it wears a mask. People don't say, "I envy you." They say, "I'm proud of you." But beneath the words is a tightening jaw, a forced smile, a silence that speaks volumes. Envy rarely attacks directly. It drips. A dismissive joke here. A backhanded compliment there. A sudden distance when you succeed. That's how envy hides. It cloaks itself in politeness, in friendship, in laughter, until one day it reveals itself in betrayal. Jung and the shadow of friendship. Carl Jung once wrote about the shadow, the dark, unacknowledged parts of the human psyche. We all have one. It is made up of everything we deny, repress, or refuse to admit about ourselves. For a false friend, the shadow is triggered when you succeed. Your discipline reminds them of their laziness. Your courage reminds them of their fear. Your rising light exposes their hidden darkness. Instead of facing their shadow, they project it onto you. You become the enemy, not because of what you've done, but because of what your success reflects. Thus, betrayal often has nothing to do with you. It is their war with themselves, spilling outward. Hidden hate in disguise. Here's the chilling truth, some people secretly hate you while still claiming to love you. It's not always conscious, it's a twisted cocktail of admiration, dependence, and resentment. Signs of hidden hate. They want access to your energy but resent your growth. They imitate you but mock you in the same breath. They ask for your help but criticize the very hand that feeds them. This is the psychology of snakes, they can't let go of you, but they also can't stand seeing you thrive. Why envy turns into betrayal. Envy left unaddressed always seeks an outlet. It can't sit quietly forever. At first, it shows up as subtle tension. Then, as silence. Then, as sabotage. And finally, as betrayal. Why betrayal? Because betrayal is the envious friend's way of reclaiming power. They couldn't match your growth, so they try to wound you. They couldn't climb with you, so they drag you down. It's not logical. It's psychological. And it's deadly. Understanding doesn't excuse. Some will say. But they're jealous because they're insecure, not evil. That may be true, but understanding the psychology of envy doesn't excuse the betrayal it creates. A snake may be insecure. A snake may be wounded. But a snake still bites. And if you keep excusing them, they'll keep striking. The hard truth. Not everyone clapping for you is cheering. Some clap because it hides the hiss in their throat. Not every "I'm proud of you" is real. Sometimes it's camouflage. Not every friend is safe. Some are shadows waiting to reveal themselves when your light grows too bright. How to heal after betrayal. Betrayal cuts deeper than almost any wound. It's not just what was done, it's who did it. A stranger's attack stings for a moment. But when it's someone you trusted, someone you let into your sacred circle, the wound carries poison. The hardest part isn't the act itself. It's the aftershock. The shattering of trust. The endless replaying of why. The way your heart hardens and your spirit questions itself. But hear this clearly, betrayal is not the end of you, it's the rebirth of you. Step 1, sit with the pain. Most people try to numb betrayal. They drown it in distractions, in denial, in noise. But pain ignored becomes poison. Betrayal must be felt before it can be healed. Don't rush. Don't suppress. Sit with it. Let the grief, anger, and shock move through you. Write it out. Speak it out. Cry it out. Pain is not weakness, it is the purge that clears the infection. Step 2, separate the wound from your worth. Here's what betrayal whispers: you weren't enough. That's why they did it. That's a lie. Their choice was about their shadow, their envy, their weakness, not your value. Do not confuse being betrayed with being unworthy. A snake bites because it is a snake, not because you deserve the venom. Step 3, break the loop of obsession. Betrayal tricks the mind into obsession. You replay every word, every sign you missed, every moment that could have warned you. This is the brain's way of trying to make sense of chaos. But here's the truth: betrayal rarely makes sense. You can't logic away envy. You can't reason out malice. You can't fix someone who chose to hurt you. The more you replay it, the deeper you carve the wound. Healing begins when you cut the loop. Step 4, forgive for yourself, not for them. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't even mean letting them back into your life. Forgiveness means this: I refuse to let what you did rot inside me any longer. Think of it like venom. The longer it stays, the more it spreads. Forgiveness is the antidote, not for them, but for you. Step 5, rebuild boundaries. After betrayal, many close their hearts completely. But building walls so high that no one can reach you is not healing, it's imprisonment. Instead of walls, build gates. Boundaries. Strong enough to keep snakes out. Open enough to let real love in. How? Trust actions, not words. Watch consistency, not intensity. Take time. Loyalty proves itself over seasons, not moments. Step 6, turn the wound into wisdom. Every betrayal carries a lesson wrapped in pain. If you ignore the lesson, you carry the pain forever. If you learn the lesson, you carry wisdom instead. Ask yourself: what signs did I ignore? Where was I too generous without discernment? What did this reveal about people, and about myself? The wound then becomes a teacher. And teachers don't scar you, they shape you. Step 7, return to self-trust. Perhaps the deepest cut of betrayal isn't losing trust in others, it's losing trust in yourself. You think, how could I not have seen it? But here's the truth: the very fact that you trusted says more about your purity than your blindness. You didn't miss the signs because you were foolish. You missed them because you were loyal. Self-trust is rebuilt when you realize this. Betrayal reveals them, not you. Your ability to love was not a mistake. Your heart was not wrong, it was tested, and it survived. Stoic wisdom on betrayal. Marcus Aurelius once wrote: choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. What he meant wasn't denial. He meant, the final power lies in your perception. They struck, yes. But will you let the strike define you? Or will you rise untouched in spirit? Seneca taught: we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The betrayal happened once. Don't let it happen 1,000 more times in your mind. The Phoenix Principle. Healing from betrayal is like fire. It burns down everything familiar: trust, comfort, safety. But from that fire, a phoenix rises. Stronger. Wiser. Sharper in sight. Your future self will thank you for the betrayal. Why? Because it revealed snakes you never would have seen. It purged illusions you once depended on.